I'm so excited to introduce our next speaker. I like to call her Dr. Jennifer because I've known her a long, long time. Come on up here, Doctor, you badass. This amazing human has been out in research land. And I don't know about you all, but when I'm out there defending our rights, I need research. There's a lot of people that like to play a lot of games, and only research and data keeps us in a real conversation. So I want to thank you for all your work and continuing what you're doing. And particularly, you've been looking at burnout for a long, long time. So I'm super excited to hear you today. Thank you.
Today we're going to discuss burnout, what causes it, how to prevent it, and what doesn't help. I'm going to ask you guys some questions. We're going to be interactive. Okay, we're going to have some fun. A minor point before we begin, though. The inventory used in my research we're going to review today only used binary. I understand the limitations of that inventory, but it was designed in 1981. That's before I was born. All right, I'm Dr. Jennifer Lehtimaki. My PhD is in cybersecurity. I'm a senior cybersecurity manager at BECU, a college professor, an avid volunteer, and a mom of 8. Yes, I'm very busy. No, I'm not a super mom. These are my amazing kids down there on the corner there. This picture is about 2 years old. It's time for a new one. So let's start with an easy question. Are you burned out? Raise your hands. Yeah. Quite a few. It's not surprising. How many of us really know what burnout is? We say we're burnout or we're burning out, but what does that mean really? Burnout has 3 key components, but you don't have to experience all 3 to be experiencing burnout. Just one, if severe enough, is classified as burnout. The first is exhaustion. Exhaustion is more than just being tired. It's a complete inability to get enough rest. It's physical and emotional exhaustion. Feeling like your entire body and mind will never recover from the tiredness that you feel. If you're a mom, do you remember the first 6 months when the baby never slept, so you didn't either? Or in college during exam weeks when you didn't sleep because you were up all night studying, or maybe partying? It feels like that, only you are sleeping. Maybe you're sleeping too much. The second is cynicism. Now, we can all be a cynic sometimes, but this is never finding the positive in anything. Always believing in the worst possible outcome, believing that the world is out to get you even. It's believing in conspiracies when you never did before, or that Murphy's Law was written especially for you. This level of cynicism affects your everyday life and can lead to depression. The third is inefficiency. Inefficiency gets us in not caring about how we do our work or the outcomes. We take longer to complete tasks. We do things wrong. We have to double check our work. We forget things. We aren't working at our best. We leave things out, skip steps, or fail to put details into notes. We don't collaborate with our team or help others. The inefficiency bleeds into our personal life and may interfere with us performing necessary life tasks. So now that we know what burnout actually is, are you burned out? If you're experiencing any of these 3 components, you're experiencing burnout and you're not alone. 87% of cybersecurity professionals are burned out. That's a staggering number. The numbers are a little better for females at 60%, but the average cybersecurity professional is burned out. And that's a sad state of affairs for our industry. Burnout's a major problem that needs to be addressed. In order to address burnout, first we have to ask what causes burnout. 6 main factors are generally considered in most research: workload, job control, reward, community, fairness, and values. Let's dig into each of these and see how they affect cybersecurity professionals. I'll ask you how each impacting factor affects you, and we'll compare your answers to the results of my study. Next question. Are you overworked? Yes. 34% of cybersecurity professionals are overworked. A third of us. I'm surprised it's not more, actually. This is my opinion. We've just gotten used to the high workloads. We no longer think our workloads are high because we compare ourselves to others in our industry instead of other industries. We work overtime, we work on call, we work PTO, but at least a third of us are not leaving work at work. But workload's more than that. It's not having enough resources to do your job, time, money, people, tools. A lack of resources increases our likelihood of developing burnout. And being short on resources is something we all can relate to. But when work demands outweigh the resources available, workload gets overwhelming, leading to burnout. Another key factor in burnout is simply hours worked. The more hours over 40 that you work, the higher your likelihood of developing burnout. Working 60 plus hours per week is unhealthy for your family life and not a good recipe for avoiding burnout. So how do we combat workload and prevent burnout? As cybersecurity professionals, we can disconnect from work whenever possible. I know how difficult that can be for us. But when we can accomplish this, we lower our chances of burnout. We can also ask for the resources we need. Even when we don't get them, being empowered to ask for what we need can help alleviate burnout symptoms. As managers, you can mandate PTO, but keep in mind that PTO only temporarily reduces burnout symptoms. It's a Band-Aid, not a long-term fix. You can provide as many resources as possible, including extending timelines. And you can implement AI and automation to alleviate workloads. Anything that reduces the actual work done will help. And we know that hiring is not always an option, but hire the resources you need when you can, or provide whatever other resources are needed. I'm going to take a second to talk about job control. As cybersecurity professionals, job control does not affect our burnout. In my study, job control was generally high as well. This is because we already have a lot of autonomy in our work, mainly because not many people outside our department know what we do. So let's keep it up, but educate others about our work and keep ownership of our work. And managers, allow autonomy, keep well-defined job roles, and stick to them. So next question. Do you feel recognized and rewarded by your employer? I wish that everybody's hand was up. I was getting nods from everybody, but only 28% of cybersecurity professionals feel adequately rewarded for their work, and 39% of females. This is a really interesting statistic to me that females are higher because women are underpaid by as much as 16%. But I think this is because women tend to value rewards that are not base pay more than men. However, base reward is not just base pay. It includes the entire benefits package. Time off, health benefits, family support, how pay increases are handled, and how bonuses are structured. It also covers non-monetary rewards, including social recognition. The ways we reward our employees for their work also reflects in our work culture. So how do we increase reward when it's so hard to increase pay and benefits? As cybersecurity professionals, this is an opportunity to stand up for our fellows. Recognize a job well done. Complimenting our fellow professionals will go a long way to prevent burnout, and it makes us feel better as well. Working on burnout in this way will support both ourselves and our teammates. And as managers, find the small pockets of money. They help more than you would think. A $50 gift card may not seem like much, but it can help prevent burnout. It's a nice reward for a job well done or a random draw gift on a team appreciation day. These small tokens show appreciation without breaking the bank and have a significant impact on combating burnout. Of course, higher pay when possible is always appreciated by the team, but be careful not to give raises that are too small. They're insulting. Also, giving gifts, even small tokens of appreciation, or congratulatory or team appreciation lunches is another idea, but be sure to include everyone, especially your remote employees. Keeping remote employees in the loop of the reward system is a vital part of reducing burnout for the team. And one thing that helps is giving best of awards. The more creative you are with these kinds of awards, the better, and have fun rather than making it competitive. Which leads to our next question. Do you have a good relationship with your team? I'm glad. Only 38% of cybersecurity professionals have a good relationship with their team, but 45% of women do. The fact that women can build a stronger relationship in this community is really interesting as well. It may be due to this being a male-dominated industry and us being able to build community with each other. Because community is an essential burnout factor. It includes the relationships between team members. And if these relationships are positive, burnout will be lower. But if they're negative or non-existent, burnout will be higher. But community is also a really important factor because with it, the sense of workload is lightened. This means that not only does community directly lower burnout, but it also lowers burnout by lowering how workload affects burnout. Now, this may seem like a statistical distinction, but practically, it means that when we have community, our workload is lightened. A sense of belonging to a group is a basic psychological need, and with it, burnout is lower. So community includes sharing resources amongst team members and having a sense of security that the team will support you through shared resources. This prevents resource scarcity, which can lead to higher burnout. And another area of support from the team is assistance in completing tasks when it's needed, which can lower burnout by reducing workloads as well. So how do we increase a sense of community and prevent burnout? As a cybersecurity professional, you can build relationships with your team members by communicating and participating in team building. Additionally, you can help others in their work tasks. And as a manager, you can support the team with team building activities and foster a positive work culture. One manager I had would pull us into game nights. As a group, we would get together at the end of the workday and play online games, like Settlers of Catan. Things like this are a great way to keep your team engaged with each other and build team relationships because it creates a space where communication and conversation and community can happen naturally. When spaces like this are developed, the team can go stronger and burnout can be prevented amongst all the members. This leads to the next question. Does your workplace treat you fairly? Shrug is probably a good response there. 63% of cybersecurity professionals consider their workplace a fair place to work, but only 40% of females agree. This is likely because women in general are not treated fairly in the workplace, regardless of industry. Fairness encompasses equal treatment in all areas: pay, promotion, layoffs, and responsibilities. Fair pay is not only fair pay between the genders, but also for long-term employees versus new hires. Often there's a significant pay gap in this area, as higher and higher salaries are offered to new hires, while long-term loyal employees get small or non-existent pay increases. Fair promotion looks at all eligible employees, while fair layoffs use an easy-to-understand metric for layoff decisions. And fair responsibility distribution ensures that all work is evenly spread amongst employees at their ability level. To improve and maintain fairness, as both cybersecurity professionals and managers, We can treat people equally and engage in DEI to better understand others. And as managers, we can focus on fairness in all aspects of the work environment, especially in pay, promotion, and work assignments. And paying the market rate to all your employees is vital. When something isn't handled fairly in the workplace, it can cause havoc for all the employees, not just the ones who aren't treated fairly, increasing burnout for the entire team. Next question. Do your values align with your company values? Great. I'm really glad that a lot of people do. 55% of cybersecurity professionals feel like their values align with their company values. 61% of women do. This is likely because women are likelier to choose a cultural fit over a higher paying job. So values have a positive correlation with burnout, meaning that if values align, burnout is actually higher. This is a very surprising outcome of my study, as other industries do not have this correlation. This indicates that as cybersecurity professionals, we care about our companies. We care about how our work affects our coworkers, our bosses, and our C-suite. We care if our company gets breached, and we care about our customers' data. But what does this really mean? It means that when there's a good alignment of culture and our personal values, the perfect fit between us and our role, it's actually the worst possible situation for burnout. And as a manager, hiring for cultural fit means that we're setting that person up for burnout right out of the gate. It means that you're hiring them knowing that they'll be more likely to have burnout than the candidate with less cultural fit. But both the cybersecurity professional and the cybersecurity manager want a person with good cultural fit. So how do we navigate this seemingly sticky situation? The only way for us to have this not be a questionable ethical issue is to do our very best to fulfill the other areas of burnout reduction and be vigilant against burnout in every way possible. And though these are organizational issues, we have our part to play as cybersecurity professionals in managing our own burnout as well. As cybersecurity professionals, we need to disconnect from work whenever possible, especially when you're on PTO. Take the time to build relationships with your team members and lean on them for help with your work. Recognize a job well done by your team and treat everyone fairly. And as managers, we need to foster a positive work culture, provide whatever resources we can, and help the team build relationships. Reward the team and individuals whenever possible. Treat everyone fairly and manage your own burnout. Burnout is a huge issue amongst cybersecurity professionals, and it will only worsen if nothing is done about it. Managers in the C-suite need to understand how to impact change, and professionals need to learn to manage it. The company must manage the long-term impacts of lowered work output and turnover, which have significant financial implications. However, dissatisfaction with work, exhaustion, cynicism, and inefficiency have greater impacts on the individual. They affect self-worth, can cause depression, and can even lead to career turnover, which can have long-term impacts on lifelong earning potential. It's time we come together and make a difference in the life of the cybersecurity professional and work to significantly reduce burnout in our field. Thank you. Questions?
I have a question in the back.
Okay.
I'm specifically interested in talking a little more about fairness. I thought it was really interesting, the disparity between the women that answered the survey about fairness. How did they define fairness, and how do you think people interpreted what fairness meant?
In the study, there are questions that specifically ask around, do you feel like you're treated equally to others? So it's a perception of how they see themselves compared to others. And I think personally, and I mean, I didn't get to speak with any of them because I did just a quantitative study, not a qualitative study. I think that it's because as women, we recognize that we aren't being treated the way that we should be treated. And I think that the fact that we're recognizing that now is a positive that we can work towards change. Because if we don't recognize it and we don't stand up for it, we won't be able to make those changes that need to be made.
Okay. I have a question regarding the boredom creating a burnout. So I recently came across this question from one of my mentees where she feels that being bored at work is actually creating a burnout for her. Probably it's just doing the mundane tasks or the expectation that the manager level or the organization level between a hybrid worker to an on-site worker, it was probably changed over the past couple of years, is that not giving me equal opportunities, which is actually pushing me into the bucket of being bored. So do you think boredom actually creates a burnout?
I think that boredom is actually both cynicism and inefficiencies showing themselves. So I think that when you get bored, you're actually being a cynic and being inefficient, and you are therefore getting burnout from being a cynic and being inefficient, and you're not recognizing it because you're already burnt out. And so you're blaming it on boredom, but in truth, what you are is being a cynic and being inefficient. Awesome. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.